Welcome to a new edition of Finance TV. Today with our studio guest, Larry Rosen, CFO of Deutsche Post DHL. Welcome to our studio.
Thanks, great to be here.
So, Deutsche Post is performing very well. You're outperforming global logistic giants like FedEx, TNT, UPS in terms of sales and profit growth and share price performance as well. So what happened to good old Deutsche Bundespost?
Well, I think, we've worked very hard and we've uncovered the underlying strengths that were there, and what's emerged is a company that is very strong, has very strong structural advantages with its position in the emerging markets, with its very good position in the mail and small parcel market in Germany. And we've also become more efficient. We've reduced cost, and we've also really concentrated on the customer and the customer needs. And those are the main ingredients that have led to our success.
How important is it for Deutsche Post to grow that fast?
Growth is really important for us. Growth leads to a virtuous cycle, I'll call it, because if you're in a high fixed cost business, and our businesses, some of them are very high fixed cost business, like our express business with the air network and the hub and the vehicle fleet, it's something that you can't change from day to day. So the more growth that you have, you get a very good earnings effect, if you can put more volume into the system.
You're operating in a pretty hard environment, fierce competition, weak economy, the legacy mail business, which is under constant pressure. How do you manage to overcome all these obstacles in order to grow that fast?
Well, this is where that structural advantage comes into play. For various reasons, the predecessor companies of DHL all had as a strategy to invest in emerging markets and be present for the day that those markets would become much more important and have the highest growth in the world regions. And that day is today. We talk about Chinese growth slowing down to 7.5%, but compared to the U.S. or to Western Europe, 7.5% is great. And the trade growth is even a multiple of the GDP growth. So, we're most present, more than any of our competitors, in those markets that have the highest growth.
You set some ambitious midterm targets until 2015. By 2015, you want to raise your EBIT from 2.8 billion up to 3.5 billion approximately. And the corporate center, your finance department, is contributing as well. You want to slash the corporate center cost from 400 million to 350 million euros. How do you want to do this in a growing company?
Well, I think, if we look at finance in general, so only a part of the corporate center costs is finance, and we have then finance in each of our divisions. And we have our global business services, finance, operations function, and all those things together make up the total finance costs. If we go back to 2008, our finance costs were over 1.5% of revenues. They're now down to about 1.2%. And it's our goal to reduce them down to below 1% by 2015. And, a lot of that is transformation. So doing those things that we can do in service centers, either captive or third party, and migrating those activities to shared service centers. It's consolidating and streamlining our IT systems so that we don't have such a heterogeneous number of systems that we're trying to manage and reconcile all at the same time. So I think all those things are going to lead to more efficiency in the finance function, and a lot of that is what contributes to this reduction in corporate center.
What are your personal experiences with outsourcing in the finance department, shared service centers, or business process outsourcing? It's not agreed by everybody that this is a great idea. Is it worth the investment?
I think it's definitely worth the investment. What we are trying to do as the finance function is spend more and more of our resources and time on value-added activities, on analysis, on helping with decision-making, on analyzing alternatives for different decisions, rather than filling out spreadsheets and punching numbers into computer programs. And so those things that allow us to shift the resources and the resource allocation that we make to finance toward value-added activities and away from kind of routine transactional activities are what we want to do. And, the shared service centers, whether it's captive or external, go in that direction.
But as CFO of a DAX company, you got a huge advantage. You got huge, vast resources in place, a lot of manpower in the team. If you consider yourself being the CFO of a smaller company, for example, a Mittelstand company, would you still be able to pursue outsourcing projects like the ones you mentioned before?
I think you can, but I think then you have to shift more in the direction of external providers. So those guys that have the scale and the expertise and the best-in-class processes that you can plug right into. If you're really a huge company like we are, you can create those advantages also with captive service centers. But I think for small and medium-sized companies, my advice would be to go more toward the external providers.
So let's sum up the interview with our final 3 questions of Finance TV. Please answer them yes or no. The first question is, will Deutsche Post DHL continue to outperform its peers in terms of sales and profit performance?
Yes.
Are your outsourcing projects staying within the time and financial budgets?
Generally, yes.
Will you start looking for larger scale acquisitions again in a few years?
That's a more difficult one to answer. It goes in the direction of no. I think you look for large acquisitions when you have critical needs to fill in your strategy or in your product or geographic mix. That's something that we don't have right now. So more likely than not, there are not going to be any big acquisitions in our future.
So good to know that you're not dependent on acquisitions. We wish you good luck for
Thank you very much.
Your next steps going forward. Thank you. Thank you for watching, and turn in again on Friday for our next edition of Finance TV. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.